Ah, I would like to call to order the July 20th, 2026 regular board meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance if you are able.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone joining us this evening, both in person and remotely. The board held an executive session just prior to this meeting regarding personnel and a student matter. Board members of the agenda before you, do you have any additional changes? Seeing none, I would now like to call on the board secretary to conduct a roll call of the board members present.
Dr. Anderson?
Here.
Dr. Bader?
Here.
Dr. Barlow?
Here.
Ms. Black?
Here.
Dr. Demo?
Here.
Ms. Damaris?
Here.
Ms. Huff?
Here.
Dr. Lozon?
Here.
Dr. Miller?
Here. Thank you, Lynn. We'll begin with the superintendent update. I'd like to call on Mr. Johnson to provide that update for us.
Thank you. It's that time of year when we are starting to ramp up on our preparations for the upcoming school year. Along that line, we have numerous open positions that need to be filled before the school year starts. If you might be interested in being a paraprofessional, a food service worker, a custodian, or a bus driver, we need you. Please browse our open positions by clicking the employment link on our website. Additionally, the district is accepting new student registrations for the 2026-27 school year for kindergarten or any other grades. Please visit our registration website for details. This only applies to new students currently not part of the district. If your child is already enrolled in the district, there is no need to register.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. As we have no student representative at the moment, I have a number of student initiatives to announce. Prior to the meeting, we recognized State High's Alyssa Lipsky for winning the PIAA State Track and Field Championship in the AAA Discus. Alyssa, a junior at the time, threw 138-2 to win gold. Congratulations to Alyssa and her coaches on this incredible accomplishment. State High students took home 3 national championships, the team's strongest showing in years at the 48th Annual National Technology Student Association Conference in Washington, D.C. The team of 24 students also earned second and third place finishes in 2 other events and placed in the top 10 and 11 others. In first place for structural design and engineering, we had Riaz Giri and Scott Isbell. In Technology Bowl, first place, Sam Nevada, Vanessa Wiesman, and Scott Isbell. First place in Virtual Reality Simulation, Benny Goulis and Maggie Goulis. Second place, Senior Solar Print, Benny Goulis and Riaz Giri. And third place, Promotional Design, Sophia Seidel. Park Forest Middle School students also won 3 national championships and finished second in another at the 48th Annual National Technology Student Association Conference from June 22nd to June 26th in Washington, D.C. In first place for biotechnology were Nura Ali, Abby Chow, Sophia Chen, Serena Tien, and Serena Xiao. For inventions and innovation, Sophia Chen, Nura Ali, Lulu Hudson, Abby Chow. For off the grid, Serena Xiao, Oliver Xiao, Sophia Chen. In second place for chapter team, Braden Lechner, Henry Flango, Serena Tien, Lulu Hudson, Sophia Chen, and Abby Chow. Congratulations to all those students. Congratulations to the 14 State High students who recently competed in the Future Business Leaders of America National Leadership Conference in San Antonio, Texas. The conference brought together 20,000 students and advisors from across the country. The top performers were Sunju Choi, who earned 6th place in Introduction to Parliamentary Procedure, and David Ulmer, who advanced to the finals in Career Portfolio. And that concludes the student update. Jackie, do you have some legislative matters to report for us?
We have a state budget. Since it's on the agenda, I'll just push all the discussion until then.
Okay.
But it's July and we have a state budget, so.
Amazing. It's the budget for this year, too. Excellent. All right. Jesse, do you have any updates from COG?
Yes. The last COG meeting, which was at the end of, um, of June, they dissolved two COG committees. The HR committee, there was some discussion about whether this was a wise idea, but it was mainly because they have only had an HR position for the last 10 years. And they dissolved the COG Facilities Committee. There's a search in process for a new fire director because Sean Kaufman is planning to retire from that position soon. There was also an interesting report from the library about their summer reading program, which seems to be very popular and is probably, well, I say definitely very important for this district.
All right. Go ahead, Jen.
I have a CRPR update. Parks and Rec Month and Parks and Recreational Professionals Day was proclaimed on July 17th. So sorry we missed that, but that was something that they wanted everyone to be aware of. This, mark your calendars, because Center Region Trick or Treat Night, Halloween falls on October 31st, which coincides with a Penn State home football game. The authority approved the recommendation to Center Region Executive Committee and the General Forum to designate Trick or Treat Night to Thursday, October 29th, 2026, with an inclement weather date of Friday, October 30th, from 6 to 8. So heads up there. And then a new fee policy draft, a fee schedule for the different rentals for any of the CRPR facilities has been updated. So you can check the website for that.
All right. Thank you, Jesse and Jen. We now have time for public comment. Each individual will be allotted up to 3 minutes for items related to board business that are not on a consent or action item this evening. For those items, public comment will be held just prior to voting on that item. Please state your name and where you reside in the district. Is there anyone who is registered to make a public comment this evening?
No.
Is there anyone present who would like to make a public comment? Is there anyone online who would like to make a public comment? In that case, we will move on to the consent agenda, which includes several items that we will address with a single motion for approval. To facilitate any questions or discussions, we'll go through each category individually. Board members, please raise your hand if you need clarification on any of the items as I present each group. We'll start with consent approval of minutes. We'll move on to consent for operations, a pretty extensive list. Were there any questions about items on consent for operations? All right. Consent for instructional programs. Any questions about these items? All right. And finally, consent for policy updates, which I believe we've already heard at a previous meeting. Any follow-up questions? All right. In that case, I'd like to call for a motion to approve consent agenda items 6 through 9. May I have a motion and a second?
Bader, so moved.
Huff second.
All right. Any additional questions or discussion? Is there any public comment about our consent agenda this evening?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to our action items, agenda item 10A is a motion to approve the 2026-2030 Executive Assistant Employee Handbook. This is shown in attachment 10A. May I have a motion and a second?
Bader, so moved.
Barlow, second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion about this handbook as we move to approve it? All right. Is there any public comment about this action item?
No.
All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10B is a motion to approve a cost-sharing initiative with College Township for a pedestrian crosswalk at Brandywine. This is shown in attachment 10B. May I have a motion and a second?
Anderson moved.
Huff second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? Randy, did you want to say anything about that this evening? Okay.
I had one.
Yeah, go ahead. Amy?
I just had one quick question, and I apologize. I didn't recall, and I couldn't, from the last time we talked about it. Do we know what the total cost was gonna, I know it's probably an estimate, but,
No, actually, they've collected their bids process, and it's very close to $40,000.
oh, okay. Because I know we had talked about a ballpark
Yes.
percentage, and so I just didn't know how this number related to
It
that.
ended up
potentially.
coming in very close.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Randy. Any other questions? Is there any public comment about this action? Oh, Deb, did you have a, okay. Any public comment about this action item?
No.
All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10C is a motion to approve district generator tie-ins. This is shown in attachment 10C. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Barlow, so moved.
Huff second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion about this action item? All right. Is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 10D is a motion to approve a change order for the Fairmount abatement. This is shown in attachment 10D. May I have a motion and a second?
Huff so moved.
Anderson, second.
All right. Are there any questions or discussion about this? I think we're just finding things to abate in that building. It's a big building.
It's a pretty small amount, though. So.
It is a pretty small
Yeah.
amount relative to the rest of the building. All right. Is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10E is a motion to approve stormwater and playground updates for Ferguson Township Elementary. This is shown in attachment 10E. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Huff so moved.
Damaris, second.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion about this action item? We've heard quite a bit about this one as well. Yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
You don't have to get up, Mike. I just wanted to say that I liked the layout and the drawing, like the what's coming in. It looks really fun. So thanks for your work on that.
All right. Is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving along to agenda item 10F, which is a motion to approve a change order for the Mountain Indy Elementary addition. This is shown in attachment 10F. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Huff so moved.
Black, second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion about this change order?
I just want to say I'm getting really excited because I could see the things happening outside the building.
That's right.
And like when I'm standing at food distribution, like I can see the new front of the building. So it looks great.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Do we have any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
In that case, all board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Related is agenda item 10G, which is a motion to approve furniture, fixtures, and equipment, FFE, for the Mountain Indy Elementary expansion. This is shown in attachment 10G. May I have a motion and a second?
Huff so moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion about this agenda item? FFE, pretty standard.
No, I'll just add to Jackie's comment. I bet the teachers who have been in this building for several years, and certainly the multidisability classroom that will eventually get to move to brand-new facilities, are surely excited as you are to see the front of the building and
Oh, yeah.
when they're going to get there.
Definitely. All right. Is there any public comment about this action item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10H is a motion to approve a remodel to the science room at Mountain Indy Middle School. This is shown in attachment 10H. May I have a motion and a second?
Huff so moved.
Damaris, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this process? I believe we've talked about this before, too. All right. Is there any public comment about this item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10I is a motion to approve electrical upgrades to the Panorama Village Administration Building. This is shown in attachment 10I. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Black, so moved.
Barlow, second.
Are there any questions or discussion about this agenda item? Looks like it's pretty necessary. All right. Is there any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10J is a motion to approve a library renovation at the Panorama Village Administration Building. This is shown in attachment 10J. May I have a motion and a second?
Demaire, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this project? A lot of projects. All right. Any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We are making our way down the list here. Agenda item 10K is a motion to approve a change order for the Panorama Village Administration Building roof replacement. This is shown in attachment 10K. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Black, so moved.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this? Did I see correctly that someone used floor leveler on a roof? Is that what? Okay, all right. Just, my eyes did not deceive me.
Likely ages and ages and ages.
Yeah.
Just to be clear,
Yes.
like not recently.
Not today, right. Is there any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
All right, in that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10L is a motion to approve a change order to Phase 1 of the Park Forest Elementary School parking lot upgrades. This is shown in attachment 10L. May I have a motion and a second?
Also moved.
Demaire, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this change order? All right, seeing none. Any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 10M is a motion to approve replacement of the cafeteria furniture at the old Park Forest Middle School that will be transitioned and used at the new Park Forest Middle School. This is shown in attachment 10M. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Also moved.
Barlow, second.
All right. Any questions or discussion about this agenda item? I think it's pretty clearly laid out. Excellent. Any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Where are we? Let's see. We're N. All right. Agenda item 10N is a motion to approve a procurement agreement for furniture at the new Park Forest Middle School. This is shown in attachment 10N. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Black, so moved.
Anderson, second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this item? Any public comment about this agenda item?
No.
In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Whew. Okay, that brings us to the end of our action item portion, and we are moving on to information reports. We will begin with a information report from Mr. Brown and Mr. Vigileone, who will provide an update on the 2026-2027 state budget.
Good evening. As it was noted, I think our budget's 4 to 5 months sooner than it was this time last year, so that's always good news. I guess from the bad news side of it, the increases were about 1% over prior year funding. Most of the budget increases that we were seeing that were in the budget were related to Ready to Learn, and they went to less affluent, poorer school districts to do that. So Looking at that, our basic ed subsidy is about 14.16 million this year, up 1%, and our special education subsidy is up to 3.75 million, also up 1%. Our largest percentage increase came through with the CTC, and that was increased almost double to $465,000 that we are receiving this year. The underlying story that I'm giving out to you is that while the state budget is increasing, it is not keeping pace with inflation. So with that, be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Start over here. Any questions for Randy or Joe? No? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Thank you, Mr. Brown, Mr. Vigileone. I'd now like to call on Dr. Bucher. He'll be joined by Mr. Ishler and Mrs. Yates, who will be joining online to provide an update to courses under 12 at several of our secondary schools. Welcome. There we go.
All right, good evening. Thanks for having us. Mr. Usher's with me, and Casey Yates is online if needed, although she does not have much here to go over as far as courses under 12. So as you recall, I came before you back in May with courses under 12 for State High. It lets you know that we would be coming back to you at this point of the year with courses under 12 for the middle schools, both Park Forest and Mount Nittany, as well as Delta High and Delta Middle. According to policy 126, we need to get permission to run these courses in our buildings, and we're bringing these forward to you for preview for today and requesting a vote on those at the next meeting in August. So just to kind of go through those quickly, as you may have noticed from the memo, we don't have anything for Park Forest Middle School. We do have a repetitive one that I'll let Mr. Ishler talk a little bit about. It's more of a scheduling conflict for sixth grade physical education, so I'll let him speak to that.
Yeah, for that, it's our learning support students and trying to get them into their PE. PE for sixth graders the 2 days it goes is 1 and 4, 2 and 5, 3 and 6, and within their schedule, it just doesn't work out. So we make them we co-seat them within their own individual section and then the bigger section. So it does occur in there where there's like one student, but there's not just one student. There's probably 18 other students in there with them. But to make it work within the schedule, it does appear that there's just 1 or 2 students in that section.
So what does that mean? So like I get it that they're going to be together with these other 17 students. Like, so I see the sections, but what does that mean for us, like to approve of running a section with lower numbers in that case? Does it mean that there's a faculty member assigned along with them to that? That's what we're approving?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, they're in that larger section. They might be you and I teaching it, but Jonathan might be another teacher that has them another time. That's all.
Jackie, did you want to make a?
So just to clarify on that, so like, does that mean like, does co-seating mean like there's one teacher who might be teaching 2 sections of the course at the same time? So like the teacher to student ratio is still higher than like 1 to 2?
Right.
So like I, teacher A, have this section that has 2 students in it and this section that has 17 students in it, and I'm teaching them all at the same time.
Correct.
But
yes.
like all the grades are going under different, like these 2 students are just under a different classification category then?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
But is it all, are they in with 7th and, like, other grades? Like,
No.
then
No.
why wouldn't they just be assigned, or is it because they jump through the schedule in different sections?
Different days.
Oh, so,
Because
okay.
like one section is
Because they're not staying with the
days
same
1
cohort of
4.
students each time, so that's why they get assigned their own section. So, okay. So if they could stay with the same cohort, the teacher wouldn't have like
They wouldn't need that
19
section.
students, but because they have to jump through the schedule, they have their own individual section. Got it.
Any other?
So I'm going to ask for direction from the board. When we're co-seating and the classes are over 12, do you want us to bring those to the board? Because it's
Yes.
still a class of 12, it's over 12. And usually we only bring classes that are under 12. And these are just one-offs, but they're going to a class that's over 12. So do you still want us to bring those to you or not?
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
I have a follow-up
it's a good
question then, like, because
Okay.
this is the first time I've ever seen this come up. And I know learning support scheduling,
So
there were
realize,
issues about sixth grade learning support scheduling and it being inadequate in the past compared to other times. And so if that's being addressed, yay, that's great. But then does that mean this is a permanent need to address that, or are there some potential shifts in the future?
this is, I'm more than sure it's always a need.
Yes.
And it's always been there.
Really?
But
okay.
this is the first time we have
I've talked
brought
about
middle school classes to you. And normally we don't because of these situations. They're over 12, and so we don't normally. So this is a normal occurrence?
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Just
So
never
that's what
saw
I'm
it before.
asking, because
That's-
you're going
I'm
to get the
like, I
same
don't remember
thing year after year after year after year.
Got
I
it.
think, yeah, and that's okay. Like, I think what you've done is great, and I think it's good that you're meeting the student needs. But I would like to continue to see the co-seated classes because at the high school, there's a lot of co-seats that happen that are not phys ed, right? It might be like
More complicated.
German 2 and German 3, or, so I want to know, like, when that's happening, just because I know that that puts an extra, it increases the workload of the teacher who's doing that. And not that it doesn't in the physical education space, but it's a little different than if you're teaching 2 different physics classes in the same classroom. So
Yeah.
that's why personally would like to continue.
Yeah,
to see
I'm
that.
just, to clarify, I'm specifically talking about middle school, because middle school is where you're going to get this every time, and you're going to see the same thing. So, but I'm more than okay to doing it until you realize this, we're not going to do it anymore. But
Yeah, I
go
guess
ahead.
I would agree and say that this particular scenario isn't very exciting or worrisome to have to review each time, but being that if we don't ask to see it every time, then we don't know when it changes. And the fact that I've been here 11 years and I never knew that this is how it worked. And I had a kid in learning support in 6th grade and I still didn't know this is how it worked. So that seems to speak to the need to potentially just understand. So
Just asking.
yeah, totally.
Deb?
I mean, but we can be more superficial and straightforward with this piece in the future now that we understand it.
Deb had a comment.
I appreciate understanding. I read the memo and I had no idea what it meant. So I really appreciate you coming and explaining it to us. I'm happy to see it in the memo for the same reason. But to be respectful of your time, I don't know that we need you to come back every year to explain it to us again, now that we know what it means, right? You can maybe have your Monday night off. So that's my own personal
That's a
preference.
non-negotiable.
Thank you.
Well,
So that's my thought.
yes, Rebecca.
I think that only works if there's not new members, because then when we have new members, like like Amy had not seen it in 11 years, but like every couple years, it might be good to just have that as.
Sure, but
As long
I
as somebody
think
can
Jonathan or CJ or even previous members could probably explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Okay. Did you have a comment, Ann?
When are we also going to talk about Delta's
Oh,
numbers?
yes. Yeah. We're just wrapping up this
We
part.
just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
You're all good.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So moving in next, we are going into Delta Middle and then Delta High. So this, as you noted, this is probably the first time you've seen these. Delta's in their first year of being at school. So we're trying to get them in alignment. So there are different course offerings there that are lower enrollment. And we do not have Dr. Downs with us this evening, so I'll do my best to field questions. I believe you sent an email if anyone had explicit questions about courses, but this is the transition to Delta being a school, and any questions about middle or high school as they're labeled there. Try to give a little bit of an example of courses and some of the descriptions.
I'm going to start over here. Jackie, know you had a couple questions. Okay,
I'll defer.
nobody has questions.
Okay. So I have a lot of concerns about these numbers because running a course with one teacher and 6 students in a classroom to me seems like not a good allocation of resources in a lot of situations. And so I think one of my first questions would just be about like the timeline, because like I know we're kind of late in the scheduling process at this point. Is there any way we could like alter, like, and I know it's a big jigsaw puzzle, and like I also know I don't know a lot about it. But is there any way we could like get this information sooner next year? Like in the timeline, because I'm just trying to understand the timeline a little better.
So I'll speak to the middle school first. So middle school recently, 3 weeks ago, finished.
Yeah.
So they finished middle school. Both
Yes.
middle schools do theirs after state high, the allocation of the
Usually
scheduling
after the
resources.
school year's ended, we start then for the next.
So they do theirs over the summer. As far as high school, this is the first time that they have presented in this fashion because they have been a program. But in the future, we're going to talk with John to see if we can get them in alignment with what we do as far as the high school is concerned. The unfortunate part is they schedule after the students of the high school schedule. So because they got to see what courses that are available so that they can then see what students are taking their courses versus Delta courses, if that makes sense. You want to?
John had mentioned that about 93% of Delta High students take a class at State High. So they need to build that first, and then they fill the gaps within the coursework that they have at Delta High. So that is a little bit of the lag. CJ and I talked earlier today about maybe getting it to you a little bit earlier, but in order to make it much sooner, we'd have to most likely move the State High forward a month.
Is that because Delta students schedule after? Like, does State High build their schedule and then Delta high school students say, I want to take these courses at State High and get to fill in spots, or?
They build it on course requests. So there is some ways that we can be more efficient based on that information that we would, based on course requests at both buildings.
Okay.
I think we can get this to you sooner.
Okay.
Yeah. We have to get it to you sooner in order for you to approve it or not approve it, which is that's why the high school gets it to you, so that if you don't approve it, then they can change the course schedule and move kids accordingly. So we're going to work on a way that it gets to the board ahead of time so that you can approve or not approve these course requests that are under 12. So we're going to work on that for next school year.
So at this point, though, we're July 20th. Is it within the realm of possible? I mean, some of these numbers are quite small. So is it possible if we didn't approve? Like, it just seems so late. So I'm trying to understand.
If students get adjusted.
Right. Is it even adjustable at this? Like, I can't finish the sentence because I can't kind of wrap my mind around it.
Yeah.
So if you could just help me, and I haven't had this experience before, understand, like, what is our move set now? Because it's July 20th and we don't want to, like, I don't want to, as one of 9, mess everything up. So if you could just explain
Yeah,
that.
so you, at this point in time, no. Because if you change these are courses that teachers are teaching, and if they're not teaching them, then that means they don't have a class. So they have a free period. And that's
Right.
complicated because we're not furloughing teachers. They have to be
For sure.
teaching. So if we have them, we need them to teaching something. So, yeah. So this is something that we need to look at as far as in scheduling for next year with Delta, just to make sure that their classes are filling up and that they're
Right.
what they're teaching and things like that. So it's a work in progress as we examine or look at, Delta becoming a school and what that implies.
For sure.
For sure.
And this doesn't give us, because these numbers are not good. And so how do we address that? But it's July 20th, and I definitely don't want to put anyone in that situation. But I also want to articulate that there's a concern there.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm seeing here that there's it seems like there's a couple different types of things going on in all of these blocks of classes, right? Some of the things this is a required health course, or this is an elective that feeds into another course, and there's scheduling conflicts. Is there a way to break that stuff out into different categories as you move forward, right? Instead of it just all being lumped in, if these are all under enrolled, there seems to be kind of an urgency for some of them, not so much urgency for others of them. Does that make sense? Or, I mean, so when I'm asked to schedule my courses, right, I'm given a block and I'm said, this is a general ed requirement. It has to be scheduled within this time frame as to not compete with other general ed requirements in the same division. And it looks like some of that's going on here. And I know you guys are probably doing that, but when it's brought to us, it seems like a lot of these are mingled in the same category, and they could be broken out into different categories to say this is something that's these students have to have this to stay on track versus this is an elective. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah.
So we also don't know at the time how many students from Delta are going to take high school courses. So then they have to create courses based on the students that are left over and what they need. So if they're not taking CEP Algebra 2 at the high school, then they got to offer that at Delta for the remainder of the kids because it's a school program, whatever. So they have to offer certain courses. And so that's why their numbers are so low, is because they don't know how many of those kids are actually going to take high school courses versus Delta courses. And so with the leftovers, they make up these, or not make up, but they have these courses.
I think Jennifer had her hand up.
I guess what stuck out to me was that there are less courses at State High that have 12 and under, 12 or fewer, than at Delta High. And knowing the amount of sheer volume of students at State High as compared to Delta High, it just really stuck out. So I agree that, I know that scheduling is completely, intricate. And I know that the Delta school is a different situation and typically has smaller numbers, but it doesn't seem equitable. So just definitely would be good to look at.
Yeah, Ann or Amy.
It was helpful, Jonathan, in our email exchange that you addressed that the numbers for Delta this year are also, so not only were we kind of a learning curve of how to do this, but the enrollment numbers are different than typical. So could you speak to that? Because then it's not quite as potentially problematic.
So, 2,300 kids at the high school, about 150, give or take, at Delta. So you're dealing with completely different matrices. The enrollment is down about 17 kids. So while there's a waiting list at middle level for Delta, there's not at State High or Delta High. So that 17 kids in this matrix does make a decent amount of difference. It's not going to make that all up. I would also just say that there's been a lot of work over the last 2 years at State High on becoming much more efficient with the staffing that we have at State High, the dismantling of IB, and other efforts with the Power School scheduling system. We've gone from in the 70s efficiency all the way up to the mid-90s on efficiency with staff. So I believe 2 years ago, State High had 45, 42 courses, and it is drastically decreased. A lot of work has gone into that from multiple people at State High as well. So I don't know if that helps answer both those. There is a learning curve, but there's things put into place at those schools to be more efficient. And I think what CJ had said about kids having the ability to go across the street when they want a course, then there's that vacuum on the Delta side. So it's a lot of factors.
That segues into what I wanted to ask and maybe call attention to. And the other piece, Jen, is that like, my understanding, having had a student go through Delta, is 19 is the cap of a class. So whereas state high classes might be 20 something, depending, like physically, there's only enough space for 19 students in the classrooms at the Delta building. So typically they have a hard cap at 19. So that lends the question, is 12 the right number? I don't know. That's a different discussion and not as key to what I wanted to get at tonight.
Ask when you were on the board, as far as the actual architectural size of a classroom at Delta, I believe you might have been involved with, those classrooms are physically smaller.
Yeah, they
from
are.
what I understand.
That's my understanding too. Yeah, like they're literally physically, like you can't fit more seats in there. So when their students go through the process, once the enrollment hits 19 for a particular course, they can wait list or whatever if somebody drops it or something like that. So yeah, having been through it with my child, I know that it's complex and kind of difficult, and a lot of things do get hung up on the state high process. It also, it varies too at Delta, like students taking quote electives, they may take, like my student took multiple social studies as her electives, whereas other students may take some like the art classes or things or they may take the elective at state high. So I think, one of the things we have to start tracking and asking is really what is the, I don't want to say typical because I don't think it's ever typical, but like the rule is that no Delta students can't take more than, at the high school level, can't take more than 4 state high classes, because basically they take 8 classes and they don't want, at least half have to be at Delta. And I think that's something that has to be looked at as a question of, is that a doable number long-term when we start to look at this kind of dynamic and those things? And I worry that it's going to get more challenging because Delta's already struggled a little bit with that health elective issue. That is a couple of these classes that we've got to offer this health class to make sure that those students can meet their state requirements. And now we're also going to add in the financial literacy course, which will be another state requirement. And so if we get in a situation where, like, are we going to count that as one of their state high classes that year? Are we going to create a situation where we have to have multiple sections at Delta because we've got to get those students that credit and get through? And that's kind of, we could really get ourselves into issues around resource allocation appropriateness. So I think it might be worth looking at some historical data about what do the numbers look like? Like what percentage of students take 4 classes at state high and what percentage only take 1, and what's the most common? If we have a lot of students splitting their time, if 80% of Delta students are splitting their time, then I think we have to ask ourselves some questions about how we structure things. I don't know what that answer is, but I think it's very different if we have a magnet school that 80% of students are taking 1 or 2 classes at state high each year over the course of 4 years versus all 4 are split, and that's a large percentage of the population. Those are different entities in how we figure out how to answer this question, in my mind. And especially, like I said, as we have these additional courses coming on, like the financial literacy piece that are required. And that's my worry, is like we got to look at some other things. But I think your questions are relevant. Like, when do we do it and how do we know earlier? But also, like, what's going on, and do we have the right parameters and framework about how students spend their time where? And that's really hard. I mean, I know like certain areas, artistic student or a music student, they're going to want a big chunk of classes at state high. But if they're also an advanced student, they may want an AP course. And then we get back into the same situation of, well, can Delta meet all of some students' needs? And that's obviously a family's decision to make, but we have to be really clear about what that looks like for families when they're considering making that choice and making sure it's very upfront. So anyway, those are the things that I worry about as we continue to roll forward.
Deb, go ahead.
I had one general comment and then some specific questions, and I apologize, I didn't get a chance to send these to John ahead of time, so it's fine if he needs to answer at another time. In general, I think it would just be helpful if the memo specifies whether there is a staffing implication. So for example, when we've gotten the memo for the high school classes in the past, sometimes it's specifically said, like, we have to either increase a teacher's workload or we have to hire a part-time teacher in order to cover this class. Because it's a little bit of a different decision, right? If we have to increase even just short-term a part-time teaching assignment to cover a small class. Hence why we asked about the middle school, right? The co-seating of those PE classes is not having any implication on hiring more teachers. Maybe that those particular teachers have a slightly bigger class, but maybe not, because if it's shuffling, then it may actually, right, even itself out. So that's just one thing. So for these Delta classes, since we've not seen the data before, my guess is this is kind of, the small classes has been the norm, right? That's what we've expected. That's what we think is part of what makes Delta unique. So it's not necessarily surprising. And as CJ said, like, the teachers need something to teach, right? But we're not adding, right? We're not moving teaching responsibilities over to Delta to cover these, right? So that's helpful information to know, right? Just to be sure. Like, I assumed that, but that's helpful to know. As far as specific questions, just some little things that, again, I don't want to get too in the weeds because it's not my job, but like, if for example, at the middle school level, if the Fun with Physics class, it says it's designed to meet the instructional needs of high-achieving 8th grade students, and that's great. And my question is, like, are there only 6 students who kind of meet that? Or are there only 6 students who are interested in physics who are the high-achieving science students? If there was a different high-achieving science class, would it have drawn a bigger class? And that's, for the Delta community to figure out, because they can figure that out. But that's the immediate question that came to mind to me for that one. And then I know this is thinking outside the box a little bit, but I believe in the past, in the high school, we have sometimes struggled to accommodate all of the demand for art electives, right? We have people on wait lists for art electives. But if we have extra space in a Delta art elective, and then we have a wait list for a state high art elective, is there any possibility of letting some of those state high kids fill a couple of those seats when there's space or when there's less than 12, right? Again, keeping the small class size as a priority to try to meet the interests and the needs of all of our students. I know that we don't usually do that, but that was just a thought that occurred to me.
Yes, so state high students can take courses at Delta.
Okay.
Although I don't think it's common. There might be some challenge with alignment of semester-based courses versus quarter-long courses.
Right.
And so that would be something to
Sure.
possibly align, but that would be a bigger change at Delta.
Okay. But I mean, if a student is like, well, I can't get into my art elective, and so I guess I'm just going to do a study hall, and they could take the Delta art class instead, like, I don't know if that's possible, but just throwing that out there as a thought.
Anything's possible.
Quarter credit art and a quarter, yeah, that would complement if there was a
Right.
study hall. That's a great idea.
Just as a thought. I mean, clearly, if they have another elective of choice that they're happy with at State High that fits in their schedule better, great. But if, I just remember hearing, we have kids that want to get into art classes that can't. And it feels like if we have space, is there a way that we can creatively think about that? And then my last question, and I'll be quiet, is do we have a personal finance teacher at Delta? Or there's a person at Delta who's qualified to teach personal finance, or that's a State High teacher going over to the Delta? It just seems like with personal finance, I was surprised to think that we would have a Delta personal finance teacher.
There has been a course offered in like just personal financial literacy in general in the past, because my daughter almost took it this past year. So I don't know, I can't answer for sure, but Jonathan's face looks like he's not sure either. And I don't know if that's that same person. I don't know what the requirement is in terms of meeting the.
I just
But which-
assumed all
is
the
it-
Delta kids would be taking
Is it
that
this
at State High.
Is it this
So-
upcoming year that it's requirement, or do we have one more year?
It's required this year, but we've already started it. So I'll have to check. There could be 2 different courses or 1. I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
almost
think
anyone
most
can
of the
teach
kids
it.
are doing
Okay, so it's
You
not
could
like
be
a specific.
studies teacher, you
Gotcha.
could be a business teacher, you can,
Yeah.
There was a social studies teacher that was teaching a financial literacy course, so
Right.
whether they've shifted to meet the standards of the requirement, I don't know, but there had been someone teaching something like that
yeah.
before.
Well, I mean, as I say, if there's only 6, then clearly some of the Delta students are getting their personal finance at State High, because I would think we'd have more than 6 that would need to take it.
We have multiple courses.
So, anyway, thanks.
Rebecca or Jesse, I don't think we've heard from either. Do you have any comment? Jen? Go ahead.
I just want to echo what Deb said about the knowing in the future what those courses at the Delta High School look like as far as co-seating and if there is a staff member needed. Because that, I mean, knowing what we've heard in the past about needs with instrumental music with Delta, and then looking at the large amount of courses that have, it on paper that looks like that's a lot of really small courses, but they could be co-seated and they could not be small courses at all, and they might be maxed out in the amount of kids they could have in the room. But that would be helpful in the future too. Thank you.
None of these courses are co-seated. For high school.
We denote if they were co-seated.
We would say that they were.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Jackie?
So like looking at Brian's from middle school, that's kind of co-seated for the explanation on that. There we have 15 with +1 or 2 kids.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, so I mean, just to follow on to that, like one of my questions was like, was there any consideration to co-seat these courses at Delta? Like, I mean, it's like Fun with Physics 2. Could it be co-seated with Fun with Physics 1? So like, I don't know if that was even a consideration. So John, when you listen to this, if you wouldn't mind, give me a little heads up on what's going on there, I'd appreciate it. And not to belabor some of the points Deb raised about art, it is not necessarily about art. And this is going to involve a lot of what ifs. So I'm not trying to draw any conclusions here. But right now in this like single data point we have, there are 4 art courses that are under 12 in enrollment. So first of all, was there any consideration to co-seating any of those courses together? It's hard on students to think that there's a student at the high school who would like to take art and that there are spaces at Delta that aren't being utilized in our courses. I also think we need to consider that it could be difficult on teachers, right? Like when they know that there's a teacher over at Delta who has 40 students in 4 classes, where over at State High they have 80 students in 4 classes, and so like that's a big difference in the load of the teaching. So. I think you guys are hearing what we're saying, but I just kind of want to like draw that example out, like just because like I'm concerned about students and teachers, and
like I said,
you have to listen to us, so administrators as well. So
this is our first go at this. Okay, so obviously once we look at it, we'll make changes and adjustments. Delta bills their courses based on what their high school courses are, so they choose their high school courses, and then whatever's left over and periods that are available, they then create a course or courses for their Delta students at the Delta high school. So you see what I'm saying? So if they have to take AP Physics a certain period, and that's the only time it's offered, they have to put them in that course. That's why the high school schedule the high school first, and then they create their Delta schedule to fit what fits into their schedule, if that makes sense. So they have their high school schedule of what courses they're taking, and they see what periods they're available, and then they try to create the rest of their schedule at Delta. Okay? So that's why you see lower numbers or different courses, and so that's what they're trying to do. So we're going to have to work on an arrangement where they're kind of choosing both at the same time or close together, and then looking at what periods or whatever. So that's what's going on, because they definitely need certain courses at the high school, and certain courses at the high school are only offered at certain times, and that directs what they're going to get at Delta, whatever they create.
Is there ever a situation where it's like, okay, well, we have 6 Delta students who need to take chemistry, so we're going to offer a chemistry course at Delta. But so if everyone else in Delta is like, I'm going to take chemistry at State High, except a handful of students who are like, I'm not going to take chemistry at State High. Is there ever a situation where Delta's like, well, there are only 6 of you, so you all just have to go take it over at State High? Okay.
No. Yeah, so we try to accommodate, Delta tries to accommodate as much as they can and create in the courses that they come up with to meet the needs of their students. And then it comes to a point where a lot of high school students want all the courses that are available at the high school, so and it's more than 4, so they go to the high school. And usually happens later, they might start 9th, 10th grade, but 11th and 12th grade, they're seeing that most of their courses or the courses that they want are more than 4, and that's why some of the numbers are where they are. And that's why in middle school it's really high, because it's a school. It's all the kids go there. They don't have a choice of going to other middle school to take courses.
So I'm imagining that this was modeled and inspired by other districts that do something similar. Is that correct?
We've had the Delta program probably longer than any.
50 years.
It celebrated a 50-year anniversary, and it was,
They held their 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
So
They used to walk to the high school, and
is there like a place that the district can look to see similar scheduling issues like this to get some inspiration for how to resolve some of these conflicts over, under-enrolled courses? Or
So my opinion, Delta's pretty unique, but one of the initiatives to become a magnet school was to be able to get in better alignment with other magnet schools across the state and elsewhere. So those are things that we could reach out to them. I will say we had a meeting this morning regarding how we're reporting kids' ability to take CTC courses. And the state's response was, we've never had that scenario before where kids could go across the street and be 2 different schools.
Yep.
So the states said that's very unique, that particular situation. So we can work through that and see what is available with other schools. And I know John has been magnet schools in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh predominantly, that see what they're doing to model them in various different ways.
Yeah. Okay.
They used to have to come from the Fairmount building.
Right.
Which was a big pain.
Just to add, Jackie and Deb, I believe, the idea of having these quarter-long courses, if they are open, I don't want to misspeak, but I could speak with Dr. Downs and Mrs. Tobias to see if that's still a possibility for the school year. So if there's students that we could couple it with a study hall, then that might be a possibility to get some of these enrollment up. And I'll definitely look into it because I think it's a very valuable idea.
I mean, for example, driver's ed is a quarter credit, right? And only meets for half of them. It meets for 1 marking period. So that's part of why a lot of students end up taking driver's ed in the summer or online, because it's hard to give up an entire block for this 1 marking period class. So.
yeah, I was just going to say too, the art teacher at Delta is wonderful. My daughter had a great experience there. So if students want to go over and at least get to dabble a little bit and do something different instead of taking a study hall, they'd have a nice experience.
So the way it's being described, if I can it sounds like you have a magnet school with a larger magnet across the street. that are pulling away many of those students.
Of iron.
Like, it kind of feels that way. I did just want to make one comment. As you're presenting these in the future, this additional details section is greatly appreciated, because if you had come to me and said we have 2 sections of a course called drugs with no context, probably not. So please keep that. Any other comments about this item?
That is a health course. just to
It is a health
clarify.
course, thank you. Yeah, our SRO's in the back, he knows this, so it's fine. All right, thank you. All right, in that case, if we're good to go, well, thank you all for joining us. Dr. Bucher now will be joined by our SRO, Matt Hartline, to provide us with an update on the Handle with Care program for our Center County schools. Welcome, Mr. Hartline.
All right. Thank you for joining me up here.
Yes.
All right, so this evening, we're going to talk about the Handle with Care program. It's the Attorney General's initiative coming out of Harrisburg. There is a similar program out in Western PA, but we are speaking about the one sponsored by our Pennsylvania Attorney General. So this program is intended to assist our students in whenever they experience a trauma of any particular type, where police or other law enforcement may come out to the homes or be involved with the family, so that simply the officer that is reporting out to a family, they will report a very simple notice to the school district. We are doing this initiative with all Center County schools. CJ's been leading that with other superintendents across the county, and I've been assisting with the law enforcement aspect of getting all types of law enforcement on board. The way it works is Officer Hertline was did a home visit, and it was a traumatic event, so let's say a fire, house fire. He would simply put in the system, notify the principal that he was out, and there would be no details shared with the principal. The principal would simply get a notification saying, please treat the student with care. They're experiencing, and we're not going to give you the details. That principal would then go to the teachers and say, or depending, elementary be primary teacher, and say the student had something that occurred. Please give them extra space, extra time. If they're not their normal selves, please handle them with care. That's pretty much the premise of this program. We had a pretty good response from the different law enforcement agencies throughout the county, including the state police and many other jurisdictions. They simply go into a system and make a log, ask where the student attends school, different siblings, so maybe multiple notifications to multiple principals, and that principal then circle up with the teacher that morning and just ask them to provide space to that particular student. That's pretty much the system. Like I said, they're not going to be sharing any details. These are some of the types that possibly could. There's medical emergencies, other traumatic events, domestic violence, overdose, family member alerts of concern. I mentioned the process there, so it goes from the event to the responding officer, through the Handle with Care system, principal notified, and principal notifies the teachers for the student without any detail. And currently the program is in about 25 plus counties across the state. And we're working with other superintendents to get this off. Hopefully by September 1st, we'll have this up and running across the county. And we have some work to do once we present tonight. We plan to communicate out to the public about the plan, have an administrative training, very brief training in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so that the principals are aware of how to handle these incoming notifications. And then our public would obviously be notified through our communication. And that's pretty much anything you want to add I might have missed. You've been part of that.
No, I mean, since I started working at the school. Whoops, sorry, I'm not used to this. Since I started the school about 1.5 years ago, coming from patrol on nighttime, and one of the biggest things we dealt with is family domestics. So a lot of times we'd be out at someone's house, we'd deal with the children there, and once we left, I mean, it's kind of sad to say, but we're on to our next call. Like, we're not worried, we can't worry about, you might think about it, but we can't worry about offering more services. Now we have a police social worker at our department who will notify. But I think this is a big step just to notify the school too. Since we're going to our next call, we're not thinking about what we can provide to that child. So making the school aware. So if there is something, without giving details, without breaking any FERPA laws or anything like that, the 3 words, handle with care, that'll let the school know that child may need something extra. And however the school wants to go about meeting with that child or contacting the parents to see what that child may need. I think it's a big step, especially for the county with the state police involved. Because right now I have access to all of our other local police departments around here. So I can see when something happens to a child or I hear about it. But for the state police to be involved is a big step.
Questions? Jen, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you. This seems like an amazing program. And I mean, I know we might think, well, we already handle these kinds of things, but there's so many examples you gave up there that the school district would never have any idea that a family member got arrested or that there was a drug overdose. Like, you know, whenever there's a death or something in a family, that's when we know. But so many of these things we just would have no clue, and the kid would come to school and have to do their best. So I really appreciate this. I think this is going to be a good program.
Rebecca?
I also agree. I think this is a great program. From not a trigger notification, but we had my incoming 4th grader when she was in kindergarten. We had her kindergarten teacher sent home a note like this that was a little handle with care note that just said, if something had happened, like if your kid's having a rough morning, if like you can send this note or send me an email that just says, my child needs to be handled with a little bit more care today, and we'll know to give them additional supports if we need it. But it was just this gentle little note, not anything that was just triggering, but that little note just made a huge difference. And so to know that you all are doing this and looking out for the families in the school district even a step further is just, it's really commendable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ann?
Our family and community engagement program under Stephanie with Cindy Sturgeon is such a wonderful resource in our community and for our school community. Are they wrapped in it? Because it indicated it was like principal to teacher, and then somehow that office gets wrapped in, correct? Do you understand what
Yes, so the notification goes pretty much mainly the principal, and then the principal would decide based on, you know, high school, it's 4 or 5 teachers that would need to know, and then what are the key supports in that student's life in the school setting. And that's definitely possible, especially with that need.
And just remember, it's not intrusive. So we're not calling that student in and finding out what's going on. If they elect to tell us, then we'll bring in the necessary resources and stuff like that. So.
Oh, for sure. And I don't ever think that office under Stephanie
just wanted to
is.
make
Sure.
that.
No, I can say that I knew of a number of instances where this would have made a difference.
I was just curious, so you're at the house, something happens. Are you telling the families at that time, we're going to notify the school that your child may be in a handle with care situation? Or is it just the communication to the community in general? Sometimes we might let them know if something like this, do you understand what I'm asking? Like,
Oh, no, and
will
it's-
the families know specifically that the handle with care has been sent to the school?
And I'll say not all the time, no.
Okay.
Because I mean, when I was on patrol, there were certain times when a student maybe had a mental health crisis. I was out at their house the night before, and I'd let the parents know. Then it was John Aston, hey, I'm going to let the SRO know what was going on, so the school will be notified. And as long as the parents were fine with that, that's what I did. That was as a patrol officer. So, but I can tell you right now, sometimes when we're dealing with an incident, the officer might not remember, hey, I got to notify them that I'm going to get on the Safe to Say website and put in this handle with care notification. So it's probably not going to happen all the time.
Okay. And will the family, so then would the school tell the family, hey, we've received this, or you just don't do that because you don't want to be intrusive? I'm just trying to understand how it works.
So our goal is just to have the awareness. And
Okay.
just to treat the student with extra care. And we don't necessarily need to know the details. I think as CJ said, if they tell us, we can respond, but I don't think we're going to be prodding or asking for that.
Okay.
Just to clarify, he had mentioned Safe to Say. They're the same computer platform. So that's just to clarify. No,
Sure.
you're fine. It's the same company that does so he would log in as an officer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's literally one block. Student names, drop down, school building, and then like a very small block, and then it goes to the principal.
Okay. So the communication to our families is just to let them know this program exists, and if something were to happen, there's a chance that the school might be alerted that your child would need to be handled with care. But it's just kind of amorphous that way.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my understanding. Yeah.
That's cool.
So the comment I want to share, it might help alleviate some concerns. I actually advocated for this like 5+ years ago and tried to find out if we could get it, how we could start this process in Pennsylvania. So this has existed since about between 2008 and 2013. West Virginia was one of the pilot schools, and Tennessee also has had a system like this for quite a long period of time. And so some of it, I went back and looked at some of the history because I was trying to refresh my memory. And so a lot of it comes out of the 1990s and Harvard's medical school work on helping traumatized children learn. So some of their initiatives, it's some of the early trauma-informed care work. And so it comes about from the discussion of, oh, gee, Johnny's falling asleep in class today, and and a teacher being frustrated and upset with him. And I know we're teaching and having huge conversations for many years now about why, nudging a kid and giving him a hard time about falling asleep in a class isn't a good idea. But part of this kind of system comes from that early work about, you don't know at home that kids' parents may have had a domestic violence. There's older sibling may have, that the school doesn't know about because they just moved there and he's an adult and had an OD. And so all these things that we don't know about what's going on at home. And so the systems kind of have been around in other places for quite a long time and been really effective in providing that cushion for that child to have a teacher not have to second guess if something was going on when a kid's out of sorts. And so I'm thrilled that it's finally here. At the time we talked about it, there weren't just the systems in the state really, and the preparation wasn't there to start having that coordination between all those departments, because there's a lot of work behind it and in getting all those systems set up. So I'm so happy and excited that as I'm winding up my time on the school board, that this is one of the things that actually is going to be happening locally. I think it has a ton of value. And I think there's lots of places to look to find out, how to manage some of those fine details that you got at, because it's been decades that it's been operating in other places. So thanks for all your work on it. I'm glad it's here.
I'm just curious because I'm not as familiar with the Safe to Say system. So does this produce like some kind of record that follows the student all the way through schooling along with them?
No, it does not. Yeah.
That's not a part of
The Safe to Say system doesn't particularly either. It's an anonymous. That's an anonymous for the public reporting system. Like concerned the student is doing something inappropriate, anybody can report it. Anyone in the public. This is simply just the same company that has the platform that the officers would log into just to do the drop down for the school district and then the school.
So that maybe for the officer, if the student, if you were to enter the student's name into the Safe to Say system, would you see all of their past, like this student had a report sent on them to the school at this time, or no?
No, I can't. I actually do the audits at the end of every school year for Dr. Book. I send them to him all the results we had from the school year for Safe to Say. And just like in Safe to Say, they don't keep any student record names as far as how many times that student maybe had a Safe to Say anonymously put in about him or her. So no, there's no name records kept. Gotcha. And this doesn't interface with our police system at all either.
Gotcha.
And just to clarify, for the Handle with Care system, I believe it's the only drop downs are district, school building, and then they type in the name, so it's not a student name bank within that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Hartline. I better find my. There we go. All right, and thank you, Dr. Bucher. We will now be joined by Dr. Stephanie Beaver, who's going to come to the table and provide us an update on the PAYS survey report. Welcome, Dr. Beaver.
Oh, there. Okay, so PAYS, we're going to share some overview of our results tonight from the Pennsylvania Youth Survey, our PAYS, along with the PAYS Junior, which was new this year, that was administered to our 4th grade students. Surveys provide us valuable information directly from our students regarding their experiences with school climate, mental health protective factors, substance use, technology, and overall well-being. They help us to celebrate what is working really well and what our strengths are, but also provides us information on how we could do better. So the overview for tonight will be the 2025 PAYS data along with the PAYS Junior data. We'll look at some key strengths identified through the data, areas of need, emerging themes within the data, as well as our focus moving forward. It is important to remember that these surveys are voluntary and anonymous, which encourages students to respond honestly. More importantly, PAYS is designed to be a preventative tool. It helps students identify both protective factors and support student success and risk factors that may impact healthy youth development. This year, we had 1,793 students in grades 6, 10, 8, 10, and 12 complete the PAYS survey. 454 students in grade 4 participated in the inaugural PAYS Junior. The district achieved an overall participation rate of nearly 73%, providing us with a strong representation of student perspectives. And together, these surveys allow us to better understand students across the development continuum, from elementary through high school, and identify where protective factors remain strong and where additional supports may be needed. One of the most encouraging findings is that our students continue to demonstrate many significant strengths. 2025 PAYS tells us a positive story. While no school district is without its challenges, our students consistently outperform state averages on many of the indicators most closely associated with healthy youth development. These findings reflect the collective efforts of our educators, families, students, and communities to create environments where young people can learn, grow, and thrive. At the same time, the data provides us with valuable direction for the areas where we continue to improve. Academically, nearly 3/4 of our students reported earning mostly A grades. More than 96% reported mostly A's and B's. Family support remains exceptionally strong. More than 95% of students report living with a parent or caregiver, and family members continue to be the primary source of emotional support. One of the most encouraging findings is substance use. Compared to Pennsylvania averages, State College students consistently report substantially lower rates of alcohol, vaping, marijuana, tobacco, and prescription drug misuse. For example, lifetime alcohol use was 14.2% compared to the 23.3% statewide. Lifetime vaping was only 2.8% compared with 11.5% statewide, and prescription medication use was extremely rare. Students also reported feeling safe at school. More than 92% of students reported never being threatened at school. Nearly 97% reported never being physically attacked, and weapon-related incidences remain exceptionally uncommon. Collectively, these findings reflect a school community with strong protective factors and a safe learning environment. The 2025 school year marked the inaugural or the launch of the PAYS Junior Survey. State College, if you remember last fall, participated in the pilot research for the PAYS Junior. This helped shape the survey, providing us the first baseline data on well-being, school climate, and protective factors of our elementary school students. PAYS Junior survey also paints a similar picture among our elementary school students. 4th graders reported strong family relationships, positive relationships with teachers, feeling safe at school, optimism about their future, and strong resilience. Nearly 75% reported always enjoying enjoying spending time with their parents. Over 82% reported that parents know where they are when away from home, and more than 77% said adults at school care about them. And approximately 68% reported feeling safe at school. These are important protective factors that research consistently associates with positive academic, behavioral, and mental health outcomes. So while the survey, there's a lot to celebrate, there's a lot of strengths in our survey, we also need to reflect on those areas that deserve continued attention. I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the data from PAYS on mental health concerns and suicide risk. The data presented in this report represents three survey cycles, 2021, 2023, and 2025. Mental health continues to be one of our most important focus areas. Overall, approximately 86% of students reported that their mental health was good during the previous month, which is notably higher than the Pennsylvania average of 76%. And please note that this survey was taken in the fall, so when they were asked this question, it was within like the first couple months of school. So had this survey been delivered at the end of school, maybe we might get different results. Who knows? This also means roughly 1 in 7 students reported that mental health had not been good. Additionally, positive mental health steadily declines from 6th through 12th grade, although the percentage of students reporting depression decreased over the past several survey administrations from 34% in 2021 to 21% in 2025. It still remains an important concern. As students get older, we also see declines in several protective factors. These include school connectedness, community belonging, and positive mental health and engagement with school. This is consistent with both statewide and national trends and reinforces the importance of maintaining strong supports as students transition into adolescence. Our goal is not to simply respond when crisis concerns arise, but to proactively strengthen those protective factors before students reach crisis. Another finding that stands out is nearly 1 in 5 students surveyed reported talking to no one when they felt sad, lonely, or worried. This reinforces the importance of helping students develop trusted relationships with caring adults in our schools. Suicide-related concerns have decreased. It is important to note that every student who experiences suicidal thoughts matters, and these findings remind us of why ongoing prevention, intervention, and mental health supports remain essential to our schools. Overall, students report positive school climates across the district. Every elementary school students demonstrated especially strong relationships with teachers. As students move into middle and high school, however, we begin to see gradual declines in school connectedness and community belonging. Data on this slide highlights how students view the importance of school and their overall commitment. While many students recognize that school is important to their future success, findings also help us identify opportunities to strengthen engagement, make learning more relevant, and foster a stronger sense of purpose and belonging within the school community. Students continue to tell us that relationships matter. When students feel connected to teachers, peers, activities, their school and community, they are more likely to succeed academically, socially, and experience overall better mental health. One opportunity identified in both surveys is creating additional opportunities for students developing meaningful relationships, having a stronger voice within their school, and the feeling recognized by, okay. Mood lighting, right, for the PACE survey. The next slide focuses on technology and social media. From the data, technology continues to play an increasingly significant role in student lives. By 10th grade, nearly every student has access to an internet-enabled phone, and social media participation increases dramatically throughout high school. Technology certainly offers many educational and social benefits, but it also introduces challenges related to online safety, digital citizenship, and mental health. Fortunately, younger students report relatively limited exposure to social media, giving us important opportunity to establish healthy technology habits before online engagement becomes significant. Overall data shows that most students feel safe at school, with low reports of violence and physical threats. PAYS junior school climate indicators are also strong, with students reporting positive relationships with adults, fair treatment, and a strong sense of belonging. At the same time, online safety remains an important area of focus. While younger students report relatively limited exposure to online risks, some students do experience inappropriate online interactions, reports of unwanted online solicitation, and increase during high school years. Findings also highlight the importance of continued prevention education efforts by strengthening digital safety awareness, promoting responsible online behavior, and ensuring that students know how to recognize and report concerning interactions. We can help both student well-being and online safety. So emerging themes and trends are some key themes from the data. As we review PAYS and PAYS Junior, data findings reaffirm that our district has many strengths while also providing a clear roadmap for us as we move forward. So the first being student mental health and well-being. Student mental health and well-being remain a priority, and this is across the county. Had the opportunity to meet with superintendents at the IU, and this is something that is prevalent in all of Center County schools. So we're going to continue to strengthen our school-based mental health supports, increase access to trusted adults, support networks, expanding prevention and intervention efforts for students experiencing emotional distress. This year, we partnered with UPMC to open the IOP that we've had a lot of success with. So we're going to continue with those frameworks and really bolster our student mental health. Connectedness, belonging, and positive relationships. This is critical protective factor for healthy youth development. Our goal is to sustain a strong sense of belonging, establish in elementary school grades while expanding opportunities for student voice, mentorship, community engagement, meaningful relationships, and building meaningful relationships throughout middle and high school. All of our district schools have achieved Tier 1 PBIS status, and all of our elementary and middle schools have attained Tier 2, with many of them growing and expanding into Tier 3 frameworks. So we are moving in a positive direction, but we always want to continue to move in that direction. For prevention and healthy decision making, obviously this is really important. And as you saw from Delta's course choicings, drugs on the course selection also just kind of influences that we're moving in that direction. So we want to maintain strong prevention and healthy decision making. Efforts related to substance use remains essential. We continue to promote resilience, healthy coping skills, responsible choices in youth development. Obviously our health courses that we have at the high school, but we also have great partnerships with Jana Marie Foundation and YSB offering preventative programming in our schools. Safety and protection also remains foundation to student success. As we know, we have data from Dr. Susan Swearer's bullying and intervention report, along with insight from PAYS and PAYS Junior that will help us guide an action plan to enhance our ongoing efforts in bullying prevention, restorative practices, and student support, ensuring that all students feel safe, valued, and connected. Digital citizenship and online safety. As students spend more time online, digital citizenship and online safety become increasingly important. Our focus is to strengthen education around responsible technology use, digital citizenship, online safety awareness, reporting procedures for concerning online. So we talked about Safe to Say, how do we report those things? We also recognize the importance of the role families play. One of the things that came out of Center County and just our county region as a whole is really incorporating what families and families are our partners, and so we need to partner with them on different things. So providing them with resources and educational program to support healthy online behaviors. You know that we started our Lunch and Learns quarterly. We were able to partner with Jana Marie Foundation with Screenagers this year, so just enforces our commitment. Also, Jessica Hetrick was great at disabling Google Chat recently, so we are growing in that direction in regards to digital citizenship and online safety. And finally, when we have data and this information, we want to use the data for continuous improvement. And so using these survey results to help is key to help us guide planning, allocate resources, just ongoing evaluation for and to make sure that we're remaining student-centered in our decision-making. We want to look at those concerns, be proactive in the data, strengthen our systems so that every student feels supported and our families feel supported in the community. So we want to build on those strengths and respond to the needs of our students. And that concludes it and wraps it up. So, questions?
Right. Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
First, thank you.
Yes, it's a big report. So when you have time, you have both the PAYS report and the PAYS Junior to kind of go. This is just a summary of taking all that data out there.
But thank you for all this information and for putting this all together. My former eighth grader, she remembers doing it this last year. She was like, I did this report. I remember doing this. And so I said, did you like it? Like, how was it? She said, yeah, it was fine. You mentioned in your presentation that this was given at the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts or plans to change it to like mid-year on this to get any other?
It is state directed.
Oh, okay.
It is a state level report. They provide us with windows of time. Provided all the things that come in the year, I feel like just even when we scheduled it was probably the latest time we could within the window. They are always looking at data and improving. Like, for example, we were part of the grade 4 pilot last year. They are now looking at the 6th grade questions and realigning those. And so we had a teacher at Park Forest in a classroom that participated in some pilot study too. So I think also when we give it in the fall, it gives us time, to have this report ready for you guys going in the school year and to use the data hopefully most effectively.
Okay. And you mentioned the Lunch and Learns.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciated having those this year. And will the different findings that you found that came out of this report, will those be areas that you'll focus on? Especially the digital ones were so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Being even the last one we had here was there was so much conversation that came from that.
Yeah.
And parents had a lot of concerns. Do you plan to use this data to help guide in what direction your Lunch and Learns will go, and you had your screenagers? Yes.
Yeah.
Things like that. You had mentioned them, but will this continue because of what you're seeing in this data?
So when I went to the IU and we talked about the data just even from Center County as a whole, Marissa Vasari from Jana Marie Foundation was there, YSB was there, there were some other community providers. So everybody's looking at the data. We also look at the data together to think of programming. So part of the Lunch and Learns is that Jana Marie and we partner together on a lot of those things to bring you guest speakers. So yes, this data can kind of drive us in that direction, but we also want to incorporate, how you guys as parents feel. I think digital and screenagers and all the online technology gets a hot topic for anyone involved. So, yeah.
Yeah, Anne.
Did you want to go? No, you go.
This is a little in the weeds, but PAYS is every 2 years, right?
Yes.
And they only do 6, 8, 10, 12, and now 4. So there are some students who will never do the PAYS survey,
is
and then
correct.
there's some people who take it every time it comes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
It follows a cohort. So the 8th graders will get it in 10th grade and so on. And I think they're looking at trends over time within the data, but there are pockets that are not going to get it. So, yeah.
This is a follow-up to our email exchange. On slide 9, it says approximately 1 in 5 students reported talking to no one when feeling sad, lonely, or worried. And you indicated that that wasn't a separate question, but you were able to calculate that from the data. Drawing on what Rebecca said, are you all then able to drill down to be able to figure out who?
So it's anonymous. And that's I guess that's the beauty of the report is that students feel safe to answer.
It's not even at the school level. Yeah,
No.
okay, that's helpful.
We can't, like, it provides us an overall of what the district is. Now, I mean, I think what we have found, even with Dr. Sawyer's report, she did focus groups, so we can use that level of data to kind of figure out and maybe drive down from there. But I think what it tells us is that we need to continue to build upon relationship building and connectedness and belonging. And that's something we've talked about as a district. It's, Tanya Black in some of the work that she's doing. So it is a goal. And so I think we can move forward with continue that, but also know that in the background there is that pocket. And so how do we find and
Well, and I appreciate our master plan, that's not the right word, future ready. Like one of those goals is about having connections to students. And so this just justifies a continued focus on it. So thank you. I didn't really make that connection, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Other questions?
So, as you get this data from all the different reports, I just want to remind you that we're going to be doing our Future Ready Comprehensive Plan this year. When developing the goals and action steps, these are the things that we would like to dive into for this time around.
As soon as I read that, I didn't.
Questions, comments for Dr. Beaver? Go ahead, Deb.
I'll just briefly reiterate the thanks for all the work that goes into distilling 160 pages of reports into a very quickly
Well, I had more
presented
slides,
presentation.
and I was told I had to reduce my slides. So
Well,
you got what you got.
You did great, and it was wonderful. And I have to admit, and this is a compliment. I felt like you were channeling Jean Knaus a little bit, and the speed with which she would share the information with us. So there is something about student services.
I wasn't going to get it all out.
So thank you. It's a lot of work, and we appreciate it.
Excellent.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else? All right.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Beaver. Moving on, we will now be joined by Mr. Fisher, who will provide us with updates on the Mount Nittany Elementary Addition project and the Park Forest Middle School project. There are updates there. I see some pretty pictures in this handout, so. That's right.
Okay, we're getting ready to wrap up Mount Nittany Elementary. We are delayed, I think total from the start of the project to now, I think it's 33 days. But we're doing final clean. So we fully plan on being in and not really having any impacts to the kids inside the school. So a picture from outside. So this is kind of that learning stair. I think when the board went through with the tour, this did not look like this. So it's coming together.
I see lights and
good picture of the giant restrooms. And then, so like I said, at the time we wrote this has obviously changed a little bit, but we're pretty well 98, 95% complete on everything. We've done factory startup on all the equipment. Landscaping is kind of a little behind, but that's kind of the last thing we want to do. And then the last time I was here and gave an update, we have 2 soccer fields. We seeded 1 last year. That will not be, we want to let that grow in for this fall. We're sodding the other one, and we hope to get on that to the 2nd to the 3rd week of September. Just kind of where we're at. Some of these downpours we've gotten have kind of pushed us back a little bit, but we hope that the kids can get on that this fall yet. Again, we still have the field that we kind of refurbished between the middle school and the elementary that the kids can continue to use. So paving is scheduled for, I believe, this week. So we have our test and balance third party coming in. They make sure all of our pressures and our flows are correct. Final inspections. Furniture is there. It's sitting in the gym. We were waiting for a final electrical inspection, which we're waiting for a clarification. We got flagged on something that we didn't believe should have been flagged on. Pushed back, had the architect write a letter, and code did approve that just the other day. So final inspection should be any time, and then final cleaning, and then we're going to do a ribbon cutting ceremony, kind of TBD as far as date. Questions? Comments? Coming together.
Hooray.
Moving on to Park Forest. Get out of here. So we've got some light here at the end of the tunnel. We've been working with the township over the past several months, kind of on land developments, other items, easements, developers agreement, that sort of thing, traffic studies, waivers. So on July 8th, we received kind of conditional approval for land development from the township. So what does that mean? So it means that we should be able to start with approval from the Conservation District, which we sort of have. We should be able to start kind of mobilizing, moving dirt, putting up fence, silt sock, that sort of thing. As we work through over the next several weeks, we still have easements to finalize. We'll bring before you, I'm hoping, in August. There'll be a developer's agreement associated with land development, that sort of thing. So all those kind of the nuts and bolts need to be worked out, and the paperwork kind of behind the scenes, which we'll see that, like I said, hopefully in August for your approval. And then once land development is actually finalized, we get zoning and then a building permit. I said, kudos to our architect team. They've been working behind the scenes with Center Region Code, kind of proactively and kind of going through all of their comments. And really their last comment is having land development approval. So once we kind of get through some of this paperwork, Center Region Code to sign off, and we'll have a building permit. So. One thing I should note officially, we were kind of talking about moving in the winter of 28-29. There's no way that's going to happen at this point. It will be the start of the school year for 2029. So just want to put that out there kind of publicly.
Yeah. That's how it is. Yep. Any questions for Mike? Comments? Thanks to those of you who were able to make it to the Patton Township meeting. And obviously thanks to everyone on our team here at Patton Township. I know there's a lot of work going into it, so it's really nice to get that over the hump. All right. Thank you, Mike. Mr. Fisher. Moving on to our final report of the evening, we'll have Ann, Dr. Demo, is going to provide us with some updates on several policies.
Yes, 10 policies.
10 policies.
So we'll just go through them. First, 202, eligibility of non-resident students, last revised in 2024, but it was recommended by SCASD administration to make a small change to the authority section. So any comments on that, feedback on that? Okay. For 216, student records, that was last revised in 2020. We had to revise that due to FERPA regulations. As a result, a definitions section has been added, guidelines section has been added, and new missing child registration section has been added. Any comments, feedback on that? So now we are to the financial component of the night, starting with policy 619, last revised in 2020. And so this update reflects a shift in audit responsibilities from the Auditor General's office back to PDE. Any comments, feedback on that? Okay, so then 627 is debt management. This is a new policy, and so it's PSBA doesn't have a policy on this, but it is a policy that will make us conform to other districts. And I want to thank Joe, who offered some really helpful clarifications on that. So any feedback, guidelines, anything? Okay, we're good with that. Similarly, 627-1 is in support of 627. And again, I thank you to Joe for clarifying language. This is a new policy. Any feedback, comments? Okay, we're moving on. 627.2, a new policy, and it is in support of 627 with specificity to post-insurance compliance of obligations. Thanks again to Joe for his support with that. Any questions? Okay, good. All right, so now to 803, school calendar. This was last revised in 2022, but PSBA recommended changes. We had a really helpful conversation, and Jonathan offered some very helpful guidance to us, so we appreciated that. And you'll note here that we are adding 2 student reps, which I think has been previously discussed, so that's good to see. Any feedback, comments on that?
So I have a question.
Yeah,
So like
please.
the last, the delegation of responsibility says the superintendent or designee shall annually prepare the school calendar for board consideration,
Yes.
which
Yep.
sounds to me like we wouldn't be doing it by committee anymore, but it sounds like we are. So just that wording confused me a little bit.
Okay.
Does that,
Well, we are doing it by committee,
well, it sounds like you're adding students to the committee. Okay.
but it's still, I mean.
He's the designee.
Yes, he's the designee.
Okay, and then
Well-
you're running the committee.
I can't remember, but did we say that like the committee structure would be in an AR, I think, perhaps? So I think the AR would be the committee part. So the designee is operating it through the committee, and then it gets defined in the AR and those pieces.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the
remembering that.
clarification.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent. Team policy. Any feedback, comments other than that? Questions? Okay. So then 804, school day revisions, was last adopted in 1999. So we needed to take a look at that. I believe in the conversation, CJ made some clarifications that we had about 1 or 2 terms, but any feedback, comments? No? Okay.
Anne,
Yes.
do we currently have in the administrative regulations, or will there be in the administrative regulations? I know every winter we get questions about how the decisions are made, about how we do school closures, and then that often prompts an email that goes out to the parents to remind them how we do it. So is that in the administrative regulations so people could proactively just look it up, or no? I'm kind of okay with either answer because I know it may change.
No, it's not, but we will be sending out a clarification email at the beginning of the year with all what the parameters will be.
Perfect.
So everybody will be clear of when school closures will be.
Great, thanks.
And maybe next time, our policy team, Jeannie and Michelle, everyone, they're going through all the ARs. You might remember we approved a policy, not a policy, we approved the PSBA.
Right.
Yes, service, thank you. And so we're going through all the ARs, and so maybe I can next time give an update of where we are on that.
Sure.
But they're doing incredible work.
Thanks.
But your question has been answered. Okay. So then we are correct, Aaron, at 815.5?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So this was last updated in 2023, but this was recommended by IT and our cyber attorneys. And Justin was so helpful answering board questions on that. It's really wonderful when the experts from administration come and help us make sense of these things. So thank you so much, Justin. Do you guys have any questions or feedback? Okay. All right, then we are at 833, which is sustainability, which was last adopted in 2020. this has gone through multiple iterations. And so I really want to thank Jeannie and Randy, who did incredible work on this. This might be something you have comments or feedback on, so I just want to give you the opportunity to sit with it for a second if you have anything.
Not on this particular policy, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to commend you on the organization of how our policy committee is run. Anne's flying through these policies right now, but we sit for an hour and a half, and these are extremely long meetings with lots of discussion and working with a lot of leadership coming in to help us with answering questions and getting things done. And Anne noticed that some of these were taking longer than the hour and a half and recognizing everyone's time. And so she streamlined things a little bit more and has made it so much more, I think richer. Like we're getting to the point of things, but it's the way we're getting there is so much nicer. You're cognizant of all of our time. And it's just a huge thank you to the work you're putting in. So how quick you're running through these right now is definitely not how you run throughout our meetings. You really keep us on point, but you work so hard to make sure we get through 10 in an hour and a half. And so thank you for all the work that you do for this.
Well, it's because I have incredible people, helping me, Jeannie and Michelle. So I'm really grateful. And we have team policy all the way. We're a really good group. And so also, I have people who have, institutional knowledge that makes everything easy. So I really appreciate everyone who's on it. So teamwork makes the dream work. So, all right. Anybody else making comments?
Parting policy questions.
Yeah. Okay, then we are complete. Thank you.
Okay, well, that brings us then to the end of information reports. Next on the agenda, we'll have the opportunity for board members to share updates on their committee initiatives. CIU report, I think, Jen?
We have a meeting this Thursday.
Okay,
So,
all right. SCASD Ed Foundation? Deb?
I should have looked up my notes, but what I can remember is the foundation, we had approved the new MOU. The foundation approved the new MOU with the foundation, so that's taken care of. The foundation has also approved a new contract with the executive director, so that's moving forward. And I think those were the main things that we talked about at the last meeting.
Okay.
It's usually early in the month. We got a little bit off because of the summer, so it looks like we have one on August 5th.
Okay. All right. CTC, since it's the summer, we kind of haven't met. It's sort of wrapped up for the year, and we'll pick it up again as we get into August. So we'll move on to the CACs. So athletics. Nope, nothing?
We have not met again.
Okay. Facilities, Amy, Rob?
Yeah, we just recently met, touched a little bit on the recommendation that we approved tonight regarding Hoffman Leakey as the ongoing architect. Mike gave us some updates on the projects that we heard tonight, talked a little bit about hiring in his department, and, well, while he's gone, we'll still give a little plug. You might see some signs around some of our properties and buildings, some other places, looking to recruit custodial staff. So I know he had a lot of vacancies, and he expressed a lot of appreciation for the HR department's job fair that they held recently and how productive it was and their support. But that was new to him to have faced some vacancies. So he was open to ideas and suggestions, and also us all spreading the word that they're always looking for good people. On that same note, I noticed when I drove through town today in our search for bus drivers, not Mike's department, but I saw a bus parked on campus at the bus depot looking for bus drivers too. So there's definitely a lot of creativity happening, places to look to fill those roles in our community. And I think those were the big ones. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, those were the big ones.
That's
No, so that's facilities committee. So we had the Citizens Advisory Committee. Yeah, there was some good exchange with some of our local members, were helpful with some suggestions for Mike on some different things, and we appreciate Monica and Eric's participation. They've been really good members. Monica's been on the committee for quite a period of time, and Eric is one of the newer members who's been very diligent about coming, which is great, and we always appreciate everybody that comes when they can. So that's it.
All right. Finance, Rebecca, Jackie?
We don't, we won't meet again till August or September.
Okay. School health and safety, Jen or Ann?
Not in April, so, what? October, thank you.
October, all right. And technology, again, we're quarterly, so we have not met. We'll probably do so again as we get, I think, to October. And that concludes our agenda for this evening. Looking ahead to future meetings, we have on July 23rd, 2026, the Facilities and Grounds Committee meeting will take place at 2 p.m. here in the Panorama Village Boardroom. On August 3rd, 2026, we will have our Committee of the Whole regular board meeting here in the Panorama Village Boardroom at 7 p.m. On August 17th, 2026, another regular board meeting at 7 p.m. here in the Panorama Village Boardroom. And the next Policy Development Committee meeting will take place on August 18th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. here in the Panorama Village Boardroom. I would now like to adjourn this meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. Have a nice evening, everyone.